Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
That's it. We're in there. We're in there like
Okay.
swimwear.
Yeah, that's a funny saying that you always say, which is funny. Okay, cool. Dude, I got something pretty big to show you. This is what I've been like trying to learn this whole last week or so because I don't think we recorded. But again, I think I brought it up last week as well. But you shared a specific slide on your video, which was this one, the purpose one, that there's like three type of content you can create, which is editorial, shareable, and programmatic. What are your thoughts on that?
That's definitely not an exhaustive list, but I think that's a pretty good starting point for somebody that's looking to build a more authoritative website.
Yeah, because I think I think Deepak Ness on Twitter, he also mentioned in one of the podcasts as well. He's like, I've never seen like a fully programmatic, like every single page is completely programmatic site win big. So what you basically have to do is programmatic is part of your strategy, but not your complete strategy because it doesn't have detailed in-depth knowledge or opinions that when someone is writing will have. So things like what is something or what are your thoughts on something, programmatic can't do. It can only give you things that are repeatable by nature. So that's where you probably, as your strategy, specifically around like if you're building a SaaS and you want to do this, you need to have some sort of editorial plus shareable plus programmatic content. And the shareable part is the reason for that is I heard that Google also, one of the ranking factors for your pages is from SEO is how much non-organic traffic you're getting, which means how much social traffic from your other accounts you're getting. So that's also a ranking factor in your SEO. Meaning if a lot of people are looking at your pages from coming from Facebook or Instagram, that means you'll be ranked higher in Google search. But yeah,
That's
so
right.
that's the idea behind these three different types of content, and then like it could be that you create less number of like editorial and shareable pages, but and then the most of it is programmatic, but they need to be there.
Yeah, I think programmatic is a really good supplement for an editorial based website.
Yeah, yeah. So the idea was I was trying to understand like how do you even come up with what do you write for editorial? Is there a strategy that you use, or like how do you come up with topics right about if you want to do like editorial or shareable?
Most of the long form content that I have written or write myself is based on just questions that people would have.
Right.
'Cause that's kind of the easiest stuff to rank for, as far as long form
Yeah.
content goes. Just because you're not gonna rank for best X. I mean, you could. I mean, yes, you can, but on a news site, it's easier to ask, what is X or how do I X, uh, as opposed to the top 10 best
Yeah. I think the
shoes or
best way of
something.
doing it, yeah, the way I do it is on Ahrefs, they have a questions mode. If
Yep.
I just log into my here, I think you can see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like, what is if I just do like SEO, for example, and then go in matching terms? There's a questions mode. This is what I use heavily. So this is all questions on the topic itself, and this is a good starting point for an editorial. Um, like if you want to come up with content, and
Yeah,
then you just
and
like
then
go from like.
so I don't usually if I'm making an affiliate site, I don't really go for like kind of one off products like dishwashers or not really consumer goods. Um, I
Mhm.
like recurring things. So with that, I can kind of when I'm looking at keywords, I can go, all right, well, this one gets, I think we've talked about this before. This one gets 1,000
Mhm.
searches per month. But this one
Mhm.
has no data, but I can kind of estimate that it probably get, 200 to 300 searches per month just because of the popularity of the platform,
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
And that's worked
Mhm.
out really well. Just kind of interpret and uh, use intuition to come up with keywords or topics to write about. And then almost systematizing content creation by taking 5 or 10 core searches or
Mhm.
keywords and then creating content around all those for every platform we're talking about. If we're talking about SEO tools, what is
Yeah.
Ahrefs? How much does Ahrefs cost? Is Ahrefs legitimate? And then use that for SEMrush or SERPstat or SpyFu or any of the other SEO tools, regardless of what the
Mhm.
keyword data says, because people are probably
Mhm.
searching for that if they're searching that for Ahrefs.
That is true. Someone actually asked me one time that like this doesn't make sense, but some of the things, like some of the questions like you talking about, like for dishwashers, it will say in here like 0 to 10, like volume, and I have zero idea what that actually means. Does that mean like 90 people in the month are searching worldwide? Is that what it means, or is it just like a measure of like relatively across everything else?
I'm not sure if that's worldwide or just US, because I know if you just go
Yeah.
type in SEO and go to that page, it'll say like uh you know 45,000 searches. Then it'll have a global volume
Right.
also.
Oh, this one.
Like global
Yeah.
audience is 1.6 million, but it's also just uh, I don't know how accurate that is, just because I'm sure SEO in Hong Kong is not the same as SEO in the US. It's probably somebody's first name. I'm pretty sure it actually is,
Yeah.
or some pop star or something like that. So yeah, the global volume is there, but that's what I did use to translate a bunch of posts uh,
Oh, we
with
should actually
DeepL.
come around and do just an episode on like translating. This is something I've never done before.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, something I would like. I've heard someone say that they run sites specifically in Spanish and Italian, and it's
Hmm.
all like kind of like the English content, but translated to this language, and then they do like insanely well there too. But I have zero idea how to set that up.
It's
But yeah, we can
insanely
for a
easy. I
future
think
episode.
yeah, I suppose developing it is okay. Yeah, future episode. We'll talk about it some other day.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Oh, I have zero idea, but it sounds like really fun because if it's working in one language, there's no reason it should work in other languages. Yeah.
And
Um,
the search is wildly different because probably less competition. In my case, there was.
True, true. By the way, you were just mentioning, you use intuition to like come up with topics or questions. That's a good one. And then what you can then do is if you go on Search Console, it's a good strategy to use. I think I saw somewhere. Just go on like SaaS base. SaaS base. Oh, here. So SaaS base, it's like a blog site essentially. SaaSpace.dev. There's tutorials on like how to build things with like code, but it's all like written content. So what I typically do is I come to search results. Yeah. So here, actually, let's look at the pages themselves. There's a place where you can see the for individual pages what you're ranking for. I think this one is also really good. This one, once you like start putting out content, this is the things you're ranking for. So if you see these ones are obviously like position one, but if you keep going back, here, like there's like 4 clicks for this specific thing, but that might not be that I've written something specifically on this topic. It just happens to be that one of my pages is ranking for this keyword. So what I
Mhm.
can then do is take this keyword and write a standalone article on just this. That's another way of like looking at it as well. This is a pretty, so what happens like when you put out a blog post, Google will like rank you for things that you might not already have thought about, and then so it's well worth it for you to take the things you're ranking for, maybe just it's not that well that you're ranking for it, and then make a standalone post out of them. And this is a place where you can find those keywords, and I use this pretty extensively to
Yeah.
inform my upcoming articles.
Yeah, one of the cool things I like doing there is you can easily Google it, like a regex for questions for Google Search Console. Just Google that regex Google Search Console questions, and
Okay.
they'll come up with a regex formula, because there's
Really?
such a pain in the ass to actually write, just because if you're not familiar with it, and you got to like relearn how to write regex every time, and then
Yeah,
it'll
yeah,
just
yeah.
filter all those keywords by questions and then run the gamut on that.
Interesting. Is this something you can show right now, or maybe in a future video?
Uh, let me punch it in the chat real quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'd be great.
We tweeted about it. They have
Yeah, yeah.
all kinds of stuff about this. Let me just.
Okay.
What
Ooh.
it look like?
So, so where do I type this in? Is this
So
in the?
yeah, when you go back into Search Console, like the main,
Mhm.
go to search results. I think, yeah,
Yeah.
or
Okay.
Okay, now when you punch new right next to date, and
Ah.
then query, yep, and then the drop down, it will yep, custom.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Just apply now. Oh shit.
So now you just
This is
all kinds of
awesome.
questions people have.
This is awesome. Okay. Oh, this is 343 results as well. Oh, these are do I how to cancel a screen Stripe invoice. This is great. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna use this
Boom.
now. Let me
You can
let me
export that, and then boom, you got some data nobody else has.
yeah. Holy shit. This is a great little tips and tricks. Let me just put it in. Save it somewhere. All right, cool. Yeah, that was a great tip that you just dropped right there. Just
Boom.
willy
Shout
nilly.
out to digitalpendant.com. That's right. Just that was the first result.
Got
But
it.
again, as people have tweeted about this, people have written about this in multiple
Yeah,
places.
that's one of the things. Like when you have to the information is there just in like different places, and these kind of things can really save you time because imagine if I have to sit down and think about 400 questions and I don't know what works and what doesn't. This actually gives me what works and what doesn't right away. So just to reiterate the strategy, instead of going to like keyword research, go there. You can do the questions in Ahrefs and figure out questions from there. But then you can also use your intuition, put out some content, and then you'll have this kind of data in Google Search Report, and use Justin's formula to get the list of questions that your pages could actually rank for, or Google has picked up your pages for, and then create standalone posts out of them, and that should inform your editorial strategy. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then add programmatic to it if you
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Um,
think if you're outsourcing, I'd say anything like that you're not sure would rank, or you're kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing if it sticks or whatever.
mhm,
You probably spend a little bit less on that content, and then if it does actually work, then you go back and spruce it up, or
mhm.
you know make
Maybe
it
even
actually
like that.
make it.
Yeah, make it even better, or add more pages to it, backlinks, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, yeah, all
Um,
that kind of stuff.
mhm. Yeah. So what I did was based on your prompts on the purpose part, those three types of or purpose of posts, I was trying to create a strategy for launchman.com, and I was trying to understand how do I even come up with these things. So I searched and searched, and I came up with these three different ways of thinking about content. And like search intents is the way people search. So someone might be looking for only information, or they might be like, I'm ready to buy, yo, like show me what to buy. So there are different search intents, and you will have to handle them differently. Page types is every page isn't built the same topic, the same angle, the same CTA can be written in multiple different ways. So page type is a way of like figuring out what kind of content or how you want to present that data for the same question, and for the same CTA. And purpose is like how you want this page to be spread out or like created, either programmatically, or you want to outsource this to an agency, or you want to have it like be shareable as in like top 10 lists of doing something, and people like they find that easier to digest. Yeah, and then so we can talk about the individual all these three things together. Do you want to take the search intents part?
Yeah, I can.
Mhm.
Can break it down for each one. Informational. I mean, that's pretty. People are coming on. This is when people they're looking, they're doing a search, and then that's what they stumble upon information. They're looking for information. They are looking for how does a pumpkin produce seeds.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
exactly.
how to get into goat racing. Goat racing seems to be something that's some kind of meme on
Okay.
my stuff anyway. Navigational. Where do I go if I'm looking for a goat race near me?
Yeah,
Goat
yeah,
races near
exactly.
me. Um, Commercial, of course. They're looking to buy. How to get tickets to the nearest goat race, and that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah. How?
transaction is a little bit similar to commercial, but I think it's like I think it's maybe like a comparison post. So something versus something.
I'm not sure. I'm really not
Yeah,
sure.
I think
I
it
don't
is.
really look towards transactional posts just because I, I think in my experience in doing keyword research for affiliate stuff, that's like when people are like, uh, literally trying to go to the site to buy the thing or
Mm,
cancel their account or something like that. It's not necessarily something where it's like, you know, how much does it cost to get into Go Racing? That seems
yeah,
commercial. Whereas transaction would be like Go Racing Association membership page or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
think
yeah.
transactional is very specific to the thing.
Exactly. I think the way it's being used in like the SaaS part is like something versus something. So like, is Mailchimp better or Email Octopus better? Like, and why that is? Tell me what the difference between the two are. I'm ready to buy. I just narrowed down my choices between these two, and I'm ready to buy. Just tell me which one's better.
Sure.
That's where like transactional or commercial intent comes in. But knowing what your customer is in the state of mind for, that can inform which kind of search intent, that's the search intent, and you want to write specifically for that. So this works also for programmatic pages. So for example, um, if it's like informational, you can create pages of what food does a dog eat, and then a list of like foods that they eat. What food does a cat eat? What food does X animal eat? Right. Um, but then commercial or transactional would be like, how do I what is the best 10 best dog food brands in Canada, in the US, or in the US, right? And then navigation would be, where do I find X brand of dog food, right? And then so you want to like, even though it's all about what pets and what they eat, it's different way of like looking at the information, and people are in the different phases of like their buying journey, and you want to be able to answer towards that. For
What
the
is
next one, hmm,
transaction would be just buy dog food,
true, buy
and then
dog food.
they're literally looking to just buy the shit.
Yeah,
There we go.
true,
There's
true.
the curse. There we had to
There you go.
drop one.
Yeah. Cool. And then the next one is the page types. So even though you might have the search intent figured out, it's like different ways of sending out or laying out the information. A pillar page is when you drop every single type of question in a single post, almost like an ultimate guide. So ultimate guide to feeding or to taking care of your pets, ultimate guide to feeding your dog. So it has like, what are the best brands, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, like if something can be harmful, where to take your pet to if something does go wrong. All those things in a single page. The point of this page is not to go super in depth, because you're going to have sub posts that do go super in depth there, but to introduce a person to every single facet of things that they should be aware of on this topic. So this is perfect if you're doing like a pet brands, pet food website, to have a pillar post for every type of pet. And then you want to like do all this kind of like just in-depth guide, everything you need to know in one page. That's a pillar page. Then all these other kind of the pages underneath that, those could be sub pages, as in like a different page that links from pillar page to the child page that explains a little bit more in depth about that specific question. Legion page is a very simple one. It's very commercial focused, marketing focused, where you say, I put together a list of 10 best dog food brands. Put your email here to get the list. So you're getting their email, and you're building up like an email newsletter with these people. That's a lead gen page. Landing page is pretty simple. It's the classic like SaaS landing pages where someone is like, I want to use a CRM for travel industry. You make the page saying the single page that has the keywords CRM for travel industry, how to use it, obviously the CTA, some reviews of like people actually using it, so all that kind of stuff. So that's a landing page. Bottom bofu, I don't like the way it's written, but bofu is bottom of the funnel.
Bottom
So
funnel.
Yeah, bottom of the funnel. This is when you like when someone is basically down to buy, they just need some sort of alternative to, so like alternative to MailChimp, that could be a page, or something versus something. So they're ready to buy, they're almost there to click the buy button, they just need a little bit more information. So in our example, in a dog food brand, is like, is X brand better or Y brand better? Which one should I buy? Then there's industry specific. So this is the one where you can create sort of a little bit of trust with the audience, that you know what you're talking about, that you're not just like just putting out information, that you actually understand what it is like to feed your pet. So industry specific would be, we tried out 20 different brands, and you're not going to believe what the fifth one did. And then it's an in-depth guide. Sounds pretty ominous, but it's like part of the industry. How do you take care of your dog? Those kind of like posts, but they're trust building. They're not specifically to sell. They're there to tell your audience that you know what you're talking about, and then they can come in and learn a little bit more about this specific thing. Awareness creating is like, should you be feeding your dog? The answer is yes. Link
In
bait,
most
you added that
cases.
in.
I did, and that's
Yeah.
that's exactly what it sounds like. You're trying to get links from somewhere, and that could be something like the 11 best dog brands, like you said, or we tested the 20, and then
Yeah.
actually sharing that with the companies in hopes that they talk about it, link to it on their, if they have a media page on their site, something created to either stir up some controversy, stir up some
Mhm.
conversation somewhere, literally with the intent to get links.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
not
good
necessarily
one.
meant to rank. It's meant to get people, to link to that article or poster page or whatever.
Yeah, and like those kind of things, those kind of like really trustworthy and like genuine kind of like posts are good for social, because people want to share that around, and now you're getting that non-organic potential of the post, which is again like a good ranking factor for Google for the rest of your website, which is great. There's another one, by the way. So I'll say like a stats page. This is really interesting. Okay, so this strategy is specifically also to get links. So when you like look up stats, you say, "Yo, I learned from like this website that 40% of marketers are online," something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, for your own industry, you can create like a stats page where you, let's say, you interview 100 different pet owners, and then you ask them what kind of brands they use, what are the things they avoid, like creating basically a stats page of like 41% of Americans do this, that, 20% of like this. Those attract an insane number of backlinks. Because
yeah,
think about it, every single time someone is going to be talking about like any other outside website, they're going to be talking about the topic. They're going to be like, they're gonna want to start off with like Webster defines, what I mean? Like those kind of like classic introductions. They're gonna be like, marketing is important because apparently 40% of marketers do this. And I found this from the stats page over on this website. And you automatically get a backlink and a quality backlink as well.
mm-hmm.
It's an very underrated one, to get the links with
Yeah.
the
I
page
feel
type.
like the link bait and the stats page and things like that, they should almost be like their own category, like separate from all
Mm-hmm.
this, like, because they're not necessarily, you're not trying to get traffic organically, you're trying to get backlinks, which is just a whole, it's not necessarily SEO, like
Mm-hmm.
in the sense of getting traffic and keywords and bringing them up from Google or Bing or whatever. It's the backlink side of it, but creation
Mm-hmm.
of content for backlinks. It should be its own kind of separate
I
category.
agree.
But
I
for the
agree.
sake of this, I think it's fitting in perfectly.
Yeah, yeah. So any industry that you're in, the stats page, if you can do that, if you just can like reach out to X number of people, create a standardized form, Google form, then summarize the results, put it on a page, gold.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also like link to the actual responses at the bottom as well. People
Even if, yeah,
anonymous.
and if you're scared to reach out to industry experts, you can, if you have an email list, you can start polling your people. You can find, like, you can Yeah, I'll say it. You can make shit up. It doesn't like uh you can, or you can again, you can poll, your limited audience or whatever. If you get 5,000 people a day to your site, you have a
Mhm.
poll on the side, or
That's
hey,
true.
take this, survey real quick. And if
Yeah.
you get 50 responses, granted, it's not significant or statistically significant, but
Mhm.
you can still present that data, and then you say, hey, we polled 50 people and this is
Yeah,
what they
exactly.
said.
It's not
And you have
exactly.
some,
It's nothing bad.
no,
Um, and by the way, the other like this is the year one, right? You can do it yearly, and what ends up happening is like let's say the fifth, let's say that you put out a page of like 40 people that responded to you, 50 people that responded to you, then you got 10 sites that are in the pet niche linking to you. The next year, what you're gonna do is reach out to those 10 pet sites and being like, yo, we're doing a round two of this thing. Do you mind sending the survey out to your audience? And now before it was like 50 people, now it's gonna be 500 because you have 10 other major websites trying to do the same, trying to help you out.
yeah, it's like a one-sided joint venture.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, yeah, stats page really, really undervalued. And so the idea of like all these kind of three categories is now you can like combine um, these these three categories to come up with so informational lead gen page that's like programmatic, right? Or commercial landing page or commercial lead gen page that's shareable. These can start um, like the combination of these can start coming. You can start coming up with ideas for your industry, and I'm pretty sure you can create like 50, 60 up to 100 ideas just by like mix and matching these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. So I just like last week I just sat down and did this for my launchman.com, figuring out like what I can actually create. And so I created like a kind of like a circle where I had these three things. I kept like doing informational pillar page, editorial, information pillar page that's shareable, and programmatic, and just writing down every single type of combination and then coming up with questions based on that. It's really to do that when you have a structure like this.
Yeah, and some of them might not work. Like it'd probably be difficult to make transactional uh, stat pages
Yeah,
programmatically, but it might
right.
not if you present your own data that you might
Yeah.
have for your own e-commerce and say, here's the top 10 products we sold last month, and just have that updated every month. Could be done that way.
Yeah.
Um,
You actually can. Funny enough, for example, like TripAdvisor, I'm gonna take that as a challenge. If we can't even do a commercial stats page that's programmatic, let's see if I can do it. Um, is like TripAdvisor has data on which hotels are booked, so they could technically say create pages that are programmatic, saying five hotels that you should be booking because in the last month, like 100 people booked these five things. It's a long title, but like that's the direction you can go with.
Maybe a better title would be top hotels and location.
Yeah, could be that would be it.
Most
Yeah,
popular hotels and location.
yeah, based on like 500 people that booked in our last
Yeah,
trips, that kind of thing.
right.
But yeah, that could actually work.
Because stuff like that, I mean, it's almost the same as doing it editorially. It's not necessarily like, especially if you're like most niche site where they don't actually know which ones are the top
Mhm.
hotels in this location.
Right.
But TripAdvisor at least has some data to back up what they're saying.
They have insane amount of data to back it up. And by the way, because like you can proxy the TripAdvisor hotel booking data as like the hotel industry as a whole, you can get backlinks being like, I'm not thinking someone that would backlink to the stat page that we just said. Someone could be like, oh, hotels industry is growing X year by X year because we can see on TripAdvisor's last 100 booked trips were to this hotel. So that could be the way the stat is being used in somewhere else in the industry, and then so you're getting backlinks that way. But it is from what we just discussed. I think there is a way to create a programmatic commercial stats page. It might not be for your industry, but there is a way to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Cool, but yeah, this is the way I'm doing it. I think I'll try sharing what kind of things I come up with for launchman.com. But the idea is to come up with these topics and questions, and then outsource the writing.
Mm.
Yeah, because I can't sit down if I can write these things out. I gotta put them out, and then have the programmatic strategy come in when I see some pages getting traffic, and I can see, oh, I can probably make this programmatic, like based on what I have written on this page. This could definitely be a programmatically generated, and then you expand that one post to end post using the programmatic strategy.
Shit would work.
Yeah, but yeah, it's yet to be seen if this actually works, but I'm pretty confident that it would work, because this is how like SEO is done, like normally, so it should work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what's happening. That's what's happening on my end, dude. What's happening on your end?
What's happening on mine? I thought I had a good idea for a new website to start, but the
Okay.
more I think about it, the more I actually like break down what you know, kind of looking at this and like the purpose thing, like the presentation I did last week on my channel. It's almost like, man, I should just probably just grow mysite.com, like me.com,
Yeah,
that way, as opposed to starting some third party and then signing up for a bunch of programs and all this kind of other stuff. And maybe I should just grow justincharnell.com.
that is true. You could have that's the like some of the ideas I'm thinking about that are, like, because we're in the same space. So some of the ideas I'm thinking about is creating programmatic pages for programmatic SEO examples. So programmatic SEO for fintech startups, programmatic SEO for like web design startups. Those are, like, collect those case studies, show why they're good, and then create a page per like best X for Y kind of things. That's the way I'm thinking about it. But it makes sense to like grow your brand, because yeah, I mean,
It's not going
as
to go
long as
away.
like that's your, yeah, yeah. That's cool. So like, what are you starting out? Do you have any ideas? Are you going to be putting out for Justin Charnell? Like, what are the things that,
I was looking at, well, again, programmatic SEO. I think that's kind of a pretty good lane to stay in, or,
Mhm.
some angle to shoot for. And just looking at the, again, going back to extrapolation of data and all that kind of stuff, looking at just because, there's programmatic SEO, there is no search data in like keyword tools. It's all kind of based on what, we want to put out or whatever. But looking at SEO as a keyword and then just taking, the list of questions that people have for SEO and just
Yeah,
slapping programmatic on the front end of it.
yeah, that's a good one.
And then I'm just
That's,
run the gamut on that.
yeah. No, I like that approach. That's a good one. I'll be curious to see like what kind of topics, or like, are you looking to like rewrite the content yourself, or are you going to outsource this? And if you are, how?
Well, uh, semi-write myself, more like record a video first,
Okay.
talking, and
Mhm.
then take that recording, transcribe it, and make it so it actually can read.
Yeah. You know what the funny thing, by the way, is it's so much easier to record something on a question. Like, I feel like I talk more and I deliver more in just our 30 minutes or hour of a video than if it was to sit down for an hour and just try to write,
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's hard to write,
massively.
but I'm
That's a
also
good start.
I'm taking those transcriptions and I'm putting them into Jasper
Mhm.
and then rewriting sections that make sense to be, a paragraph. So I just highlight them, rewrite, and then it'll take what I said, take all the
Mhm.
ums and ahs and the repeated parts, and condense it into an actual paragraph. And I can take that, make sure it actually works, and then smash publish.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. Well, keep us updated on your results, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Let's end it here.
All right.